There's a flu going around, so just trying to get my vitamin C. So today we're gonna talk about my favorite gimbal for shooting cosplay music videos. Let's go. First, I want to give you guys kind of a brief history. Well, my history when it comes to gimbals. Bought my first gimbal back in 2015. It was the iCan Beholder DS1. At the time, it was a great gimbal because it was one of the first, it was a pioneer when it came to handheld gimbals. Sold it because the payload wasn't as great. Ended up getting the Zhiyun Crane V2, not Crane 2, but the V2. Had more functionality. It was much smoother too, much smoother motors. Ended up selling it for payload reasons. I wanted something that was going to be able to handle a little more, and mainly because at the time they announced the Crane Plus, which was, well, my next gimbal, and it had more features. It had a bigger payload, so I was able to run that with a bigger camera. And then I wanted to upgrade to a bigger gimbal. So what I ended up getting was the Moza Air 2, which was kind of the main rival to the Ronin S at the time, which was the biggest handheld stabilizer that can handle the heaviest payloads. And what I liked about the Moza Air is that it had a display on it, so you can actually see what mode you were in. The one thing about it I didn't like, it was so big. It was one big solid piece of metal. Really, really hard to travel with. I had the Moza Air 2, and I kind of sidestepped and finally got the Zhiyun Weebill Lab. I bought it because I wanted a smaller gimbal to travel with. This here is the Weebill Lab. My thing is, if you saw my last video, I like running a rigged setup. I don't like taking my camera outside of the cage. That led me to the Weebill S. This right here, they upgraded so many things in this gimbal compared to the Lab. This is my favorite gimbal, period. This is my favorite gimbal for what I do. I'm gonna go over some things I really like about this gimbal and why this is the perfect gimbal for anyone who's gonna be out at a convention shooting any kind of cosplay videos. So let's get into that right now. All right, so this is the Weebill S. And the payload on this thing, well, they don't really give you an actual weight for what it can actually handle. They give you more or less setups. So as quoted on their website, the Zhiyun website, this thing can handle at least an A7 III with a 24-70 G Master f2.8 lens, which is a heavy setup, or even a Canon 5D Mark IV with their 24-70 L lens setup. So it can handle heavy payloads, but if all else fails, they do have a software feature on here called Auto Tune, to where if you're not sure if this gimbal's motors are going to be able to handle the payload of your setup, then you can just hit the Auto Tune, turn it on, and what the gimbal will do is it'll figure out what motors need more strength to be able to accommodate for that particular setup, and then you'll be good to go at that point. So what I like about this gimbal is this gimbal has a display on it where you can actually see what mode you're shooting in. Though they made a change. The big change they made is that you can actually change your motor parameters on the fly. So if I'm out in the field and I need a little bit more power to my motors depending on what kind of move that I'm doing, I can change that on the fly without opening up an app, because apps suck. They all suck. They're terrible. They're all terrible. Being able to do everything on the gimbal is keen, and that's what I like about this gimbal here. So what I like about this gimbal is it's going to have all of the standard modes that most gimbals are going to have nowadays. You're going to have your follow mode, your pan follow mode, your lock mode, your vortex mode, your go mode, your POV mode, your mode, your go mode, your beast mode, you know, all the modes. So everything that you can ever need for as far as camera movement from a handheld gimbal, you're going to be able to do with this thing. All right, so another thing I like about this gimbal here is that it has axis locks on it. You know, the Weebill Lab had it, the Moza Air had one. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. Why do you only have one axis lock on a 3-axis gimbal? Makes perfectly good sense. But anyway, basically, for travel or transport, I can lock any axis in any position. Well, any one of two positions, basically. Close her down, and I'm good to go. Or when it comes to balancing your setup, you can balance it axis by axis. So balance this axis here, lock it. Balance this axis here, lock it. And then balance that axis there. Of course, I'm not going to unlock it. You've got the point. Another cool thing about this, you see that there? That's a quick release plate. So basically this system here, you get two systems basically as far as your plate usage. You get a Manfrotto PL plate here. So that just slides in and out. Not quick release, it's going to be kind of just your standard sliding plate. But what it attaches to the top here is an Arca Swiss plate that you can, once you balance your camera, you can take this off, shoot whatever you need, and then put it back on here. Don't have to worry about rebalancing the gimbal because it's already balanced. Right back in place. Of course, they have other features on here like, you know, image transmission. Basically, the Weebill Lab, their image transmission units, it's like right there where you plug in a cable to. This one, they did not build it in. They didn't build the image transmission system into this, so you do have to buy that separate. So if you do like to view it on your phone, you can do it if you buy that component, basically. So another thing I like about this here is the accessories you can add to it. So what I have on here is the Peak Design capture plate, so I can slide it onto my belt when I'm not using it, along with a couple of their little hooks here, or anchors I should say. And then this handle here is a proprietary small rig handle, just to give you a little extra grip. And what that allows you to do is you don't have to unscrew these legs and screw them back up here. You can just run this and then keep your legs down here for extra stability and your hands aren't on the buttons there. Now, on the other side, I have this little rail here with a hot shoe mount. With that said, let me show you guys my setup for when I shoot videos at a convention. This is the rig from my last video. Let's build this bloke out. So that's my actual setup there. What you're looking at is the Tamron 17 to 28 millimeter ultra wide angle zoom lens with the Sony a7 III inside of a small rig cage with a bunch of small rig accessories around it. Of course, I forgot my microphone, so if I'm shooting events where I need to capture audio, that's where this little thing on the side comes into play, because basically cold shoe mount just goes right into here. Get a little cable, and I'm able to plug into there, a little longer than this, of course, and now you have audio for capturing live events. So with that said, what do you guys think? Will you guys be picking up the Weebill S? I definitely highly recommend buying it because it's a great gimbal for the price of $439, at least currently on Zhiyun's website. Definitely pick it up. I will leave links down below in the description. Please click them. They do help out the channel so I can do these product reviews and just go out there and make content for you guys. Other than that, my name is Malcolm Eugene. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and all that other stuff that the YouTube algorithm likes. With that said, I'm out. What's up, guys? Make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. If you guys do have a camera setup that doesn't seem to work with this, Small Rig does sell a Weebill plate that does support counterweights. I will make sure to leave links to these in the description below. This is something I used on the original Weebill Lab, and well, it helped me get by until this came out, and it's been able to handle my setups ever since. But just in case you guys want to run bigger setups, this is something I highly recommend different weights on here. Other than that, I'm not gonna say goodbye twice. You know what it is. And of course, if you're viewing this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know exactly when I'm posting next.